Serious, what's a common life pro tip that is actually bad advice? Story 1. If you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. Many people use this advice thinking they'll be able to easily coast through life and are shocked when they have to face the reality of it being an actual job. When you do something that you love as a career rather than as a hobby, it becomes much more serious and has more responsibilities. Sometimes it can even lead to you hating the thing you used to love. This isn't to discourage anyone who wants to pursue a career in something they enjoy, like a photographer or a chef. If you want to have a career doing something you enjoy, that's great, but you have to go in knowing that it won't be all sunshine and rainbows 100 of the time. There will be difficulties from time to time, and you won't have the same amount of freedom that you used to have when it was just a hobby. As long as you go in knowing that and are willing to adapt and work hard, you'll be fine. Story 2. Just be yourself. You're perfect just the way you are, and never let anyone change. Your double-edged swords preventing many people from growing out of horrid habits or bad personality traits. If a lot of people are telling you to change your behavior, chances are you're gonna up your life if you don't pay attention. Story 3. I kind of have no excuses drilled into me, but sometimes there are legit reasons why you can't do something. Also, not everything has a Hollywood ending. Sometimes you can't do something, sometimes you fail and have to give up. Being realistic about that isn't a bad thing. Story 4. Tip your head back to stop a nosebleed. Don't do that. Tip your head slightly forward with a kerchief pressed under your nose and allow the blood to clot. Edit. Wow, this post blew up. Thank you for the silver. Story 5. Play hard to get. Most of the time, playing hard to get just guarantees that both of you are going to end up alone. The dating world is competitive, and few people have the time to constantly pursue someone who is not demonstrating any interest. Stop playing these silly games and show a little interest back. You'll be giving yourself many more opportunities with people you otherwise might have missed out on. Edit. Wow, just came back to check replies and this comment blew up. Also, a very big thank you to the kind strangers that gave this medals. Story 6. You can do anything that you put your mind to. No, you can't. Not everyone is good at everything. And the sooner you make peace with your own limitations, the more successful you'll become. Story 7. Absolutely do save birds that fell out of their nests. You're letting them die if you don't. Their mom doesn't give a single about their smell, so please save them. Story 8. Never go to bed angry. Sometimes you just need some time to chill the out and ruminate in why you're angry. Constantly talking about everything is what they show on TV, but if you don't have time to process your feelings, you can just end up fighting even more than if you just took a day to chill. Story 9. You should do some math before accepting a raise, because it might put you in the next tax bracket and you actually take home less money. That's not how tax brackets work. Let's say the first tax bracket is 10,000 at 10, that means you fork over 1,000 to Uncle Sam and take home 9,000. For the sake of simplicity, let's assume the next tax bracket is 20, you are offered a raise of 500, making your total income 10,500. This does not mean the entire 10,500 is taxed at that 20 rate, that first 10,000 is taxed at 10, then the remaining 500 in the next tax bracket is taxed at 20, which is 100. Out of that 10,500, you fork over 1,100, and take home 9,400, you take home 400 more. Never reject a raise just because it puts you in the next tax bracket. There is no such thing as taking home less money because you are in a higher tax bracket. Edit. This is only about tax brackets. There are still plenty of good reasons to reject a raise, i.e. benefits cliffs, pay not matching new workload, etc. I'm just here to say that losing money because you get taxed more is not one of them, because that doesn't exist. That's not how the tax brackets work. Edit. 2. This is also specific to the US, not commenting on other countries' tax structures. Story 10. Going around talking to every good divorce attorney in your town. Speaking to but not choosing all of them to make them all biased and unable to work with your spouse. Someone did this from following a Reddit post, and then they apparently realized what was going on and demanded that they pay the bills. Turns out, the judge, jury, etc. don't like it when you try to game the system. Edit. Link to the guy that did or the Reddit thread. Apparently they found out what I did, probably because it was so hard for her to get an attorney, and today I just got hit with a motion for attorney's fees saying that what I did was abuse of process, an attempt to deprive and interfere with justice, bad faith, and a bunch of other stuff. And that I have to pay part of her attorney fees because I made it more expensive for her. If you work harder than everyone else, you'll always get what you want. No, just know sometimes happens. Hard work doesn't guarantee success. Some people, though untalented and lazy, cruise through life. And some people who work hard every single day struggle to make ends meet. There's no guarantee that hard work will get you to where you want to be. Edit. Okay, this blew up overnight and I feel like I should clarify some things. The emphasis here was on the word always. You don't always get what you want. Yes, hard work is important and necessary in life, but you don't always get what you want just by working hard. If I wanted to be as rich as Jeff Bezos tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to do it just by working hard. Maybe I can do it, maybe I can't, but I'm going to need a lot more than hard work to get me there. Some other things you also need are perseverance, resilience, discipline, and a good plan. You don't always get what you want by only working hard. That being said, yes, hard work is important, kids, so is working smart. Have there been people who have succeeded without having to work hard? Yes. Have there been people who have received opportunities that the hard worker did not get simply because they were born richer or they had better connections? Absolutely. Have there been people who have succeeded by working hard? I sure hope so, but hard work doesn't guarantee that you will get exactly what you want all the time. Story 11 just come out. Even if your parents hate you, it's better than being someone you're not. No, 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 no. Come out when it's safe, when you have somewhere else to live. You faked it for this long. You can do a little longer and stay alive. It sucks, it hurts, it's unfair, but you'll live. Some parents realize they're jerks and become accepting. Some realize they were too accepting and outright murder their child. Be safe. Story 12 travel while you're young and not tied down. While it's great if you can afford it, it has been offered in my experience chiefly by people who have folks to fall back on. Traveling the world until you are broke is not a good life pro tip if you get stranded with no one to bail you out at the end. Story 13 I think the pursuit for perfection, especially in the age of social media, aiming for an ideal 8 hours of sleep, all fresh vegfruit whole grain diet, perfect study and work habits with Instagram shots of color-coded notes, expensive skincare routine, 5 L of water a day, getting up at 5 a.m. for a run, abstaining from all vices. It's good to strive to be the best version of yourself, but the unnecessary pressure to excel at all these things seem detrimental more than anything else. I put a lot of time effort into work and am good at my job. I have great physical and mental health. If I want to eat donuts with vodka shots at 11 p.m., or stay up watching Bob's Burgers until 2 a.m., or skip my run and head to work, I should be able to do that sometimes. Wellness is not a competition, and an elastic band stretched far enough will snap. Story 14 just do the work. Not horrible advice, but incomplete. I find that when people are stuck in life, it's often because they're doing the wrong kind of work that's solitary, unmotivated, not strategic. Instead, I encourage people to join the community that is associated with the work they want to do. If you want to be a comedian or a filmmaker like me, hanging out at a show that you like, or collaborating with other creators, and building relationships there, and feeding those relationships just as often as you're doing the work will ultimately be more beneficial. At some point in your 20s, most people realize it's not as much about what you know, or even what you do, it's about who you know also has way more of an impact on your overall happiness. Story 15 If a girl has declined to go out with you, that means you stop asking her. It's not her playing hard to get, she just isn't interested, unless she surprises you and says otherwise, so don't follow the if she says no, you've just gotta keep trying bullshit. Just respect her boundaries. Edit Wow, I had no idea a comment like this would get so much attention. Thanks Redditors for the most upvotes I think I've ever received. Edit Too Holy. Well, two things. One, thanks for the ton of upvotes. Two, in referring to men who are just not getting the hint at all, I refer you to neckbeards and nice guys. Story 16 Just be happy or look on the bright side. Great overall advice, but sometimes in the moment, it can be the absolute worst. Sometimes things just and we want to break down and cry. That's okay, we shouldn't be talked out of those emotions when we're upset and obviously feeling low. Story 17 Ignore the bullies and they'll stop. This advice makes me want to slap you're giving them and everyone who sees it permission. Silence is acceptance. That is the real advice. Story 18 A bad workman always blames his tools. Sometimes the thing you're using is the problem, rather than it being user error, and sometimes practice isn't enough to make up the shortfall. Story 19 Their family. Let it go. My dad, who is a doctor, watched as I got a viral infection that spread to my brain and I went blind and deaf. He called my mom and said I'd be dead by the time he got home from work the next day. My sister, who hasn't spoken to him since middle school, had to break into his house. Find me, call 911. Dad was mad that she broke in, said nothing about me. Story 20 If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Absolutely wrong and super self-centered. At our worst, we're all super shitty and our loved ones don't deserve that. Some may not be able to handle us at our worst due to their own life stress and mental health conditions. This is just a recipe for pushing important people away. Story 21 Practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Practice makes permanent. If you continuously repeat shoddy work, you'll just become very efficient at making that shoddy work, and it'll be hard for you to ever improve. Practice along with introspection, analysis, and feedback makes perfect. Story 22 There was a quote that was thrown around a lot. It was something like a ship only sinks when it lets water in, meaning if you don't let negativity get to you, you'll be fine. It's total bull. Of course you can't let one single negative comment destroy your confidence, but I've always thought this could easily be misunderstood and used to shame people who are depressed because they have a lot of going on in their lives. If you're surrounded by negativity, it will get to you sooner or later, and there is no shame in that. It's not your fault. Story 23 Always listen to your elders, and old people are smarter, wiser. I don't care who you are, what relationship I have with you, or especially how old you are, anyone can be a. Story 24 You're perfect the way you are. No, you're not. No one is. You should always strive to grow and become a better you. I get it's encouraging for those who struggle with their identity, but working in schools, I've seen way too many students who think that means there is no room for growth. Story 25 Telling kids to follow your dreams, and you can be anything if you work hard enough. Sometimes you need to admit that even if something is your dream and you're willing to work for it, you may not have the necessary talent you need to succeed and should just keep it as a hobby. Hard work is important, but so is natural ability. I have a friend with dreams of being a successful actress. Her parents keep telling her if she believes then she can do it and she has talent and should follow her heart. While she's not bad, she's not great. She couldn't get into drama school, went to university to do something else and graduated with a poor grade because she spent all of her time focusing on the drama society. Now she's been in and out of service jobs, still trying audition after audition with almost no success. Instead, she could have been building a career in another field and joined an amateur dramatic group to maintain her love for it while not wasting her life chasing an impossible dream. Plus there's the whole issue of it being a very difficult, unstable job where you need connections to go far. Story 26, not posted on Reddit much, but almost any boomer advice is useless in 2020. Just go up to the manager, shake their hand and ask for a job. They will think you are weird and tell you to apply online. Keep asking out that love interest over and over, you'll wear them down, borders on stalking and is likely a giant waste of time that won't turn into a lasting relationship. Pull up your bootstraps and work a part-time job to pay for collegia home. College and homes have gotten markedly more expensive and wages have stagnated for the past 30 years. Story 27, there's no real catchy way to put it, but the sentiment that your life revolves around your job. You don't have to have a career or be ultra successful in your field. You just have to have a job that lets you earn enough money to enjoy your life and achieve all the things you want to do outside of work. Story 28, never change a running system. Heard it so many times at work it almost makes me vomit when hearing it. It's just an excuse for being too lazy to make something better, even a tiny little bit, because it works so far, why should I change something? Story 29, getting a 4-year degree is essential for a successful career. Acquiring marketable skills in a field you enjoy is what matters, not spending X amount of time in college. Many 4-year degrees leave you with very few skills that are needed in the job market, while many trade school programs only take a few months and put you on the track to a high-paying job. Story 30, wear your hoodie backwards and fill the hood with popcorn. It makes a convenient snack holder while you're working at your computer. Story 31, if you love your job you'll never work a day in your life. No matter what career you choose, no matter how fortunate you are, there's going to be parts of what you do that are going to be annoying, unpleasant, and difficult, and there's no guarantee that doing something for fun is going to stay fun when you've got to do it because you need to pay rent. Pick a career based on what you're good at and what people value. You're selling your time. Story 32, ignore what others think of you. Human interaction is a cornerstone of our existence, and depending on how well you're liked among others determines the relative ease of how well you're able to get through life. Being mindful of others and their feelings should inform your thoughts and actions to a certain extent. There are obviously exceptions, but to simply outright ignore everybody and just maintain your course no matter what is not good advice. Story 33, you can be anything you want to be. No, you can't. People with money could be anything they want to be. The rest of us probably have to work really hard to maybe attain our goals if we are lucky. Story 34, follow your heart. We have a brain for a reason. Our hearts are fickle and what may seem like love may just be infatuation, etc. Understanding what you are feeling and why is important, as well as realizing that some commitments are worth it to push through the difficult times when our hearts aren't in it. Story 35, anything that advises you to be to someone who seemingly doesn't deserve it. Be macho. Women love that. Don't worry about your friend that says you're mean. Your employer will appreciate you being aggressive and brutish as a general rule. Being is rarely a good idea. Story 36, if a boy is mean to you, it means he likes you. No. It means he's likely a bully and leads women to staying in abusive relationships because he loves me. Story 37, you can't run away from your problems. Bloom where you're planted. Not always bad advice, but sometimes you absolutely do need to leave a toxic environment before your life can improve. Story 38, marriage long-term partnership is a lot of work. You have to work at it every day. Bullfucking shit. Your relationship should make your life better and easier. Sure, there will be hard times, but it should be easy to be with someone most of the time. It shouldn't be a lot of hard work or something you have to work at every day. Most problems should be the two of you versus the problem, and most of the hard times should be things life throws at you that you help each other through. You should not constantly be trying to make your marriage work. If your relationship is difficult, it may have just run its course. Marriage being with someone should be easy. Edit, some of y'all are really defensive. Examine why. Story 39, I have an idea. Propose, announce pregnancy, come out, announce divorce at names, wedding, funeral, birthday, birthing, reception, graduation. No, you're stealing their attention and ruining it. If you do that, that is selfish. Story 40, say what's on your mind. You don't want the hassle of someone within earshot being offended or being offended on someone else's behalf just because your opinion is different from any narrative. Story 41, sleep when the baby sleeps. Totally impractical. I suppose I should clean when the baby cleans, cook when the baby cooks, fold laundry when the baby folds, file my taxes when the baby files. Story 42, don't let others control your feelings. Everyone has feelings, and they will be affected by what others say. This just leads to you bottling up your emotions. Story 43, push through your anxiety and it will be more manageable. Talk it out and get to the source. Opposites attract, very bad idea. Differences may seem exciting at first, however seeing how different you are over time can create resentment and heartache. Story 44, when people are like, if you're unhappy, change your situation, quit your job, move to a new state, cut off all your relationships and live in your car, you can completely change your life at any time. Except there are a lot of financial barriers, and a lot of very good reasons to not drive across the country and be homeless with no plan. And aside from that, you really should think through big life-changing decisions, especially if they involve leaving a job, a town, a relationship, whatever. Because sometimes you find out what you really need to do is to stay and work things out. And if you just randomly up and leave without even giving it a thought, you may never get the chance to do that. Not saying risks don't pay off sometimes. And I'm not saying you can't change situations that make you miserable. But just doing whatever you want without making a plan and putting thought to it rarely works out well. Figure out what makes you miserable, why it makes you miserable, then plan to change it based on what you're able to do. Story 45. You need to forgive them for yourself. You need to let go of that anger. Hey, race the thing. I've tried both of those. What happened to me is that forgiving the person who wronged me led to them hurting me more. I fell into a cycle of sadness. Anger. I should forgive them, telling them I forgive them doing it again. I am angry, and I am going to keep being angry until I never have to see that person again. Story 46. Be yourself is a good one. But hey, race, why it's also a bit bad for me personally. Sometimes there are trends and whatever that I actually like, but then people go be yourself, and it damages me. I'm working on it, and I am being myself. Whenever I hear that, I just tell myself that I am. Story 47. Not really a pro tip, but still fits. If you fail in high school, you will never go to college. Although it helps a ton to have good grades, most colleges will accept students more on their SAT scores than grades. Source: my aunt works in admissions for a college. Edit: I'm not saying grades aren't important, I'm just saying they aren't as important as they seem. Edit: 2 people are also saying if you do bad in school, you probably won't have a good SAT score. This is true, but it could also be that you didn't care in the first years of high school and ruined your gradespa, but you can still get a good SAT score. Story 48. Attention. Serious tag notice: jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message compose. Tor AskReddit if you have any questions or concerns. Story 49. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. F this. There is too many stories about people broken for life. Bad experiences can become a part of you and you can learn from it, but only if you do the actual work of learning, taking time and reflecting, not just experiencing it. Granted, people who never suffered in life sometimes need a slap in the face, but that doesn't justify anything, and F all the people who use this saying to justify abuse. Story 50. Not particularly a statement, but the general acceptance of debt in our society is bad. Don't use someone else's money to impress people you don't even like. Having been debt-free for nearly a year now, it's been the best thing my wife and I have ever done. We delay gratification and save for the things we want. Story 51. Don't stop fighting for your relationship, or a relationship has ups and downs, and what matters is staying through them. And no, if you are in a relationship that you are the only one putting in effort, then you absolutely should stop fighting for it and walk away. You can't pour from an empty cup. Sometimes you need to put yourself first and put the effort into yourself. Story 52. Tilt your head back when you have a nosebleed. Don't do that. I used to get chronic nosebleeds and people told me this all the time. The blood will rush to your throat and you'll choke on it. It's not fun. I still have to correct people not to do it. Happy wife, happy life. Marriage is a give and take, and full of compromise. It's not healthy for a marriage for one person to always give and one person to always take. Story 53. Don't let someone live rent-free inside your head. I hear it all the time and it infuriates me because you can try, but not always successfully control who you're thinking about. Angry thoughts exist and they creep into your mind. Sometimes, to heal from something, you need to think about it, even if it's painful. Sometimes you just need to process what's happened. Sometimes avoiding your thoughts makes it worse. See, I've heard it 100 million times from people clapping back on Reddit and Twitter, so there's an eye roll factor in there too when I hear that phrase. Don't obsess, but don't force thoughts out of your head. Hear them, heal, then when you're ready, move on. Also, there's no way to charge rent inside a head. Everything and anything you think about lives rent-free. Story 54. You have to love yourself before others can love you. While of course self-love is great for those who can achieve it, everyone needs close human contact, and it's harder to learn to love yourself if you feel lonely. Story 55. You teach people how to treat you. No, that's narcissistic victim-blaming bullshit. Some people know how to treat others with compassion and respect, and some don't. Manipulating someone into treating you well isn't something to be proud of, and if someone treats you badly, it's not your fault. Respect is earned, no respect is given. Disrespect is earned. If you think you should not respect anyone without them giving you reasoning, you weren't raised right. Everyone deserves respect. Trust is earned, not respect. That's a given. Story 56. Always forgive, love family. Screw that. If family has done wrong by you, you have every right as a victim to protect yourself, especially if it involves confrontation, or simply walking away. They are just people. Blood doesn't justify anything. Story 57. Act like today is your last. This was originally discussed by Grady under A, because PPL have a list of things to do, so maybe one of those things is to kill someone. Again, Grady under A explained this in much more better detail. Story 58. If you get bit by a venomous snake, out the venom. What should be done is hold a spot that is close to the bite and close to the heart, so it's harder for the venom to reach the heart. Story 59. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. This is such bullshit logic. Not everything that needs to be said is going to be nice. That's just how it works. You can't be afraid to be rude, especially in response to someone else's rudeness. Story 60 that dipping a pacifier in honey will help a baby teeth. Please don't do this, it can lead to infection that causes botulism, a disease that causes flaccid paralysis. Story 61 do what feels good. Life is not about feelings, and a lot of what feels really good is actually really bad for you, sooner or later if not straight up. Story 62 high school is the greatest time of your life. Nope. This parroted phrase may apply to people who peaked in high school and whose lives are just going downhill after ex-football jock with IQ of 55, but not I think to the majority of people. My high school self overweight awkward bullied nerd with few friends, my current 33 years old self compared to high school 50 pounds lighter, better physical shape, advanced degrees, high-paying job field, married with no kids, was actually going on some pretty awesome trips pre-COVID. High school life certainly does not define you. Story 63 fake it till you make it. Nope, I've worked with people who lied on their resume to get the job and I always just assumed they were liars in general. Story 64 if it's meant to be, it will work itself out. No, we're all not on some predetermined crash course called life where whatever we think or do is irrelevant because our future is already laid out for us. You influence your future by your actions. This quote infuriates me because it signals complacency and allowing your time on earth to be wasted by waiting for something good to happen to you. Own your life, your choices, mistakes, success and future. Story 65 just ignore it bullies. And ALL go away they'll stop. No, sometimes you just need to face whatever problem is hindering your life and handle it. Ignoring won't make it go away. IDLL only delay the inevitable if you fail to act. As for the bullies, you need to stand up and not people kick you around or tear down your self-esteem. If no one is going to stop them, parents, teachers, etc., then you need to be the one to stop it. I'm not encouraging violence or revenge, but defending yourself is an absolute must. Story 66 not everything is better homemade. Sometimes food science is impossible to top, sometimes it's way too expensive, and sometimes it's just a time-consuming, so don't feel bad about buying bread or pasta. Story 67 get rid of distractions. Lots of us would barely be sane at all if you weren't distracted by the funny kid in class, or while you do your homework. We need distractions to remind us to have a mental break. Story 68 build up your child's self-esteem, self-image. While in theory this is a very good one, it can be harmful. I'm a daycare teacher and the amount of kids I've seen that think that they are God's gift to the world, that they are above all others, that they are the creme de la creme is insane and concerning. That kind of teaching creates little narcissists that believe they deserve to win, to be first place, to be the fastest or the best, all because mom and dad never let them lose a game or cry it out or told them there are some things that even they can't do. Those kids are in for a very rude awakening one day. By all means, boost your child's self-esteem, make them dream big, and never let them think they are below anyone else, but don't raise them to think they're superior to their peers and that they can do no wrong. Story 69 never go to sleep angry during a fight. It's a horrible concept. You know what brings about logical reasoning and teamwork. In pretty it's not sleep deprivation. Story 70 I'm late in the game, but you need to love yourself before people can love you. Absolutely wrong from a psychological perspective. Children do not understand love unless they experience, observe, or have felt it from an outside source. They don't just love themselves until a parent or someone has shown them love. Similarly, if you've never been romantically loved and you feel depraved of it, it's because you have been. You don't need to force yourself to feel happy about yourself in order to be loved. That's like telling a depressed person in order for others to be friends with them, they have to be happy first. It's abusive and a complete lack of understanding. Story 71 that whole thing about doing the bare minimum because it's all you're getting paid for and no one will recognize the extra effort. People will notice and it will benefit you. Doing the bare minimum will also be noticed and lower people's opinion of you. The better advice is if you are in a relationship or work for a place that actually doing a good job is ignored and you should start working on getting out of there. Story 72 as long as you try your hardest you can do anything. Unfortunately, this is not true. I try my hardest every day yet I know I will never become as rich as Bill Gates. Sometimes, it's better to know your limits. Story 73 you are special. No, you are not special. Thinking you are special will bring you disappointment. Know that you are equal, no better and no worse than anybody else. Story 74 have you tried talking to the people who are actively abusing you to get them to stop? No, people who are capable of empathy and self-reflection on their behavior generally don't abuse people, and you wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. At best, they will ignore you. At worst, they will gaslight you and make you feel like you deserved it. They know they are abusing you, they just don't care. Stop projecting your empathy on those who have none. Make a plan to leave. Once you can leave, you run and you do not look back. Story 75 this is advice I've mostly ever gotten from older people. If you apply to a job, don't just send the application and then wait. Call them every day to show enthusiasm. Go physically down to the place to ask how it's going. That'll usually just end you up on a blacklist. Story 76 practice makes perfect. If you practice the wrong way 1,000 times, you'll be really good at doing it wrong. This was especially true when I was trying to improve my handwriting. Just practicing what I was doing didn't result in any improvement. Still had ugly handwriting. I got a book and relearned how to form letters in a way that was more pleasing. Practiced that and now I have nice handwriting. Seriously, it was a revelation. It showed where to start the lines for each letter and how to join things together rather than just trace and repeat like how I originally learned. I still need more practice because it's very slow, but just practicing isn't enough. The other saying is that perfect practice makes perfect, which is true, but so few people say it that way. Story 77 IDs say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I've always felt that this phrase minimizes things like trauma and pain that people go through following a traumatic experience. Sure, maybe something like child abuse didn't kill you, but it can leave emotional scars that last a lifetime. It's not to say people dealing with something like PTSD or depression aren't strong, but to say that you came out better just because you aren't dead minimizes those experiences. Story 78 Give your so hints about what you want from them. And no, tell them, people can't read minds. Stop with the stupid silly games and be direct and precise about what you want. Story 79 You should have kids, especially when you're young. It's the biggest joy in life. This is not one of those pro-choice or poor life debates. I'm talking about a conscious decision to have a baby. No, not everyone should have kids. Not when you don't have a roof over your head, or when you don't have the basic means to take care of yourself. Be responsible. I've seen couples do it as a way to save their marriage. Not the best idea to be bringing a new life into a damaged relationship, is it? I've seen young couples barely able to afford rent and wanting to get right on having kids when they have less than $500 in their bank accounts. My friend was suffering from mild depression. Her husband and her decided to have a baby so she could have company when he travels for work. She almost pulled a murder-suicide. I've seen a 30-year-old with different baby daddies for each of her 4 children. Fruits of her love, she says, while living on food stamps and trashing her ex-boyfriends. I'm not saying it's bad advice, but I'm saying, be responsible. Have kids responsibly. Have kids when you are able to provide a safe environment for them to grow and nurture. You don't have to be rich, but that definitely doesn't hurt. Story 80 If a group of lads are giving you, hit the biggest one and they will leave you alone. My dad told me this as a kid and I've been in a fair few scrapes as I got older. However, let me say this statement is false. Because whilst hitting the big guy in theory seems wise, normally there is 56 little cunts who would quite happily give you a beating. Story 81 There's never a good time to have kids. Everyone is unsure. You should just go for it. No, I say this as a parent of 2. Kids will uproot your entire life. They are massively expensive and time-consuming. Your friend group will change. Childless Chad that you bar hop with every weekend will not be your best bud anymore. Someone has to be responsible for them every minute of every day until about age 10, when they can be left for maybe an hour while you run an errand. What you should do is find a local daycare, ask for their prices, and see how that feels. And I hope this goes without saying, but if you are struggling in your relationship, a kid will downright ruin it, and a kid is the only thing that will tie you forever to that person. I can sell my house, quit my job, dump all my belongings, but my husband will always be the father of my kids.